Welcome to Phillip Island, Victoria in Australia. What a setting we have for this great sporting contest, the Little Penguin Sea to Dune race. Nervous moments always as they gather on the beach, the tension mounting, and away they go. There's the defending champion, wearing his familiar navy blue and white, great waddling style. Another pre-race favourite though, losing touch with the pack. Maybe that's why. A few too many fish in the day's feeding. There's a familiar face, Skip McIntyre, 8 times a champion back in the 90s, a very successful coach now, keeping a keen eye on proceedings. This the leading group, 1 or 2 still able to put on a show for the camera, others just ploughing straight over it. Some resorting to shortcuts. Sad that cheating has crept into this beautiful sport. The judges will have a look at that. But up at the front, the pace is relentless, closing in on those sand dunes that will offer a bed for the night. The fatigue starting to tell. Who's got the finishing kick up on the outside? What a turn of pace from that one, whichever one it is. No answer from the rest, and he takes victory. What a win. There we are, into the Burrow, building an extension with his winnings, and back tomorrow to try and defend his title here on Phillip Island.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and welcome to a night of Penguin Live TV. My name is Stephen. I'll be your host tonight, and joining me this evening, we also have Tom. Come on over and say hi, Tom.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to all the regulars, and a big welcome to all the newbies. I'll be keeping an eye on the questions, especially on Facebook tonight, so any interesting questions we'll try and pass through. We can't get to everyone, but make it nice and interesting and something we hopefully haven't discussed before. We've got no penguin figures for last night. We've actually had 5 nights in a row with no penguin counting, which is the first time in the 14 years I've been here. We just come out of a very strict COVID-related lockdown in Victoria, this state, in Melbourne. So it's good to be back seeing the penguins again. Have a good night, everyone.
Thanks, Tom. That's absolutely right. So we have no idea how many penguins came in last night, which is, as Tom said, one of the first times in a very long time that that's happened, especially for so long. So we weren't even sure when the penguins were going to start crossing the beach. We didn't have anybody on site, going through a bit of a snap lockdown, 5 days, stuck at home, waiting for all the numbers of corona cases to drop back down to safe levels, which they have. So we're open again. People can travel again. We've got people here at the Penguin Parade counting penguins. We have people here watching the penguins. And as you can see on the screen, the penguins have already started crossing the beach, which is pretty fantastic. So the penguins, we believe they started crossing maybe about 8:40 tonight. I think will be the official start time. I haven't heard over the radio exactly what time the official start of the count will happen. But for all of our new viewers who maybe haven't seen our penguin counting before, our penguin live stream before, our penguins are called the little penguins. They always come in around sunset every night. Not the same penguins every night, but some penguins generally cross the beach around sunset every night here on Phillip Island in Australia. And we'll be counting these penguins for 50 minutes every night. We won't be showing the live stream for that long. We'll get the main rush of our penguins at the start of the live stream, where we hopefully will get some of the biggest groups coming across. And I'll be doing a bit of a running commentary of what they're doing, what's happening this time of year. But before we get too involved into the penguins, I always like to start the night by doing an acknowledgement of country, acknowledging the land at which we are watching our penguins from. Phillip Island is also known as Malal in the Bunurong language, and we do like to acknowledge the Bunurong as the traditional custodians of the land and pay our respects to their elders, both past, present, and emerging. And the Bunurong had been coming to Phillip Island for thousands of years, taking care of this land long before Europeans ever came here to Australia. And they lived very well with the local wildlife, penguins included. And the Bunurong used to visit Phillip Island seasonally. During our summer months, they used to come and really chase the shearwaters, or the mutton bird, as they like to call them here in Australia. The short-tailed shearwaters come to Australia, come to Phillip Island to have their babies. And their breeding season's well underway. Their babies are growing up, and in not too distant future, in a month or two, they'll be getting ready to fledge and head off to Alaska, chasing these summer months. Wonderful. So our penguins are already across the beach. They're well on their journey home. These are the little penguins, the smallest penguins in the world. And they always come home at sunset because for our little penguins, there are predators in the daytime. There are big birds of prey that will be flying around the peninsula looking for a tasty small animal to eat. And because our penguins are very small, they're only about 33 centimeters tall, they will be on the menu for quite a few of those birds of prey. So they're pretty clever. They know it's not safe to come out in the daytime, so they wait until the sun goes down. They wait for it to get nice and dark. And then all those big scary birds of prey will go to sleep for the night. They'll go home to roost. And the penguins know that it's safe to come home, and it's time for them to head on a bit of a long journey to get home. Some of these penguins will have babies waiting for them at home. Others of these penguins will be starting the next season. We're winding up the breeding season, waiting for our last chicks to grow, get ready to fledge. And other of these penguins will be looking quite a bit larger. They'll be starting the molting season. So once a year, our penguins, they come home to molt. They will push out all of their old feathers by growing in a brand new coat of feathers all at once. Takes about a week and a half, I think. Oh, geez, Tom, I had a bit of a mind blank. Is it a week and a half for the molt? 2.5 weeks?
2.5 to 3 weeks.
2.5 to 3 weeks. Thank you. I knew when I said that I was wrong. So 2.5, maybe 3 weeks for them to molt their feathers. And during that 2.5 to 3 weeks, these penguins will not be eating any food. They'll be stuck on land, surviving that length of time without any food. So in order to survive that amount of time without any food, they are going to get fat. They're going to get really fat. They're going to double their body weight so that they can survive that long time period without any food. We do have a couple of lovely little birds down here. I'm trying to see, is that a molter, a pre-molter, or a chick? Bit hard to see with our camera resolution. But these penguins have been spending the day on land, waiting for it to get dark before they can come outside and enjoy the safety of nighttime here on Phillip Island. Because at nighttime, it is the party time for our penguins. There are no predators, there are no native predators here at night on Phillip Island, and our penguins will come outside when it gets dark and they'll start talking to each other. The chicks will come out of the burrows looking for mom and dad, hoping to be fed because they've been going all day without any food at the very least. They might have gone a few days without food, depending on how successful their parents have been at catching fish during the daytime. And just above my head, you can see some penguins are waddling their way along the Penguin Highway. I'll see if I can swap over to them for you. This little guy's having a bit of a go on his tummy. Wouldn't be too worried about him. He's having a fair go at traveling. Let's see if I can catch up to him. Get this camera to scroll across. Even though he is traveling on his belly, he's going at a fair pace. And quite a few of our penguins are down low on their bellies. Some of them would be pre-molting penguins who've doubled their body weight in a short amount of time and might be struggling to stay on their feet. They've doubled their body weight in a month. And if you want to imagine what that would feel like, I mean, try to imagine how much you would struggle to walk if you doubled your body weight in a month. It's a bit of a rapid change, and these penguins would have spent the majority of that month out on the ocean catching fish. They wouldn't have actually set foot on land. So yeah, they're coming back onto land and they've realized they've put on a lot of weight and their legs aren't really suited for supporting that weight very well just yet. So give them some slack if they are on their bellies a little bit. That's fine. They're going to take a lot of rests before they make their way home. And so these penguins can have quite a journey ahead of them. They might have to walk almost 2 kilometers before they'll get home here on Phillip Island. Some of our penguins are lucky they have the beachfront properties. They'll only have to walk a couple of 100 meters to get home. But we do have quite a few penguins that call Phillip Island their home here. And the Summerlands Peninsula is quite large. The farthest that our penguins will generally have to walk is around 2 kilometers, just under 2 kilometers. So it can be quite a long journey for such little legs. And the reason our penguins call Summerlands their home, the Summerland Peninsula here on Phillip Island their home, is because of the company that I work for, the Phillip Island Nature Parks, of which the Penguin Parade is part of. And the Phillip Island Nature Parks is a not-for-profit conservation organization. And because we work to protect the Summerlands Peninsula, to give the penguins a safe place that they can call home here, they have chosen to come here in large numbers. We have about 32,000 penguins that call the Summerlands their home. And that doesn't include just this, well, that does include this one pathway. It's not limited to this one pathway that we see in front of us. This is one of lots of pathways that our penguins will use to come home. And we do love this one pathway that we're watching them coming home on tonight. This is in front of our Penguins Plus stand, where if you decide to come and see our penguins here in Australia and you come down to Victoria and you want to see some wild penguins on a journey home, you can come to the Penguin Parade. I recommend grabbing tickets to the Penguins Plus platform. It's the best place to see the penguins. That's where we get the largest number of penguins crossing this beach in the greatest numbers. And you can see a bunch of people at the bottom of the screen. They're all excitedly watching the penguins as well on their journey home. And you can always say hello to myself or any of the other rangers who work here. We're always happy to have a chat, tell you all of our stories about penguins, and try and interpret what the penguins are doing on a given night. So let's zoom in here. We got some lovely penguins on these rocks. You can see quite a few of them. They got their beaks and they're kind of digging their beaks into their feathers down on their chests. They're preening themselves. Our penguins are meticulous preeners. They always have to take really good care of their feathers. Their feathers help keep them waterproof out on the ocean so that they can float on top of the water. And if they're not very good at taking care of their feathers, some of that water might seep between their feathers and get to their downy inside layer of feathers. And if it does that, they no longer have that nice toasty bubble of air around their body. The cold water that we have here around Phillip Island would seep down to their skin, it would waterlog them, and they wouldn't be as buoyant as usual. So you'll see our penguins preening themselves, making themselves look beautiful, and it's also very effective at keeping them, very functional and effective at keeping them dry out on the ocean. All right, I've been doing a lot of talking about our penguins. Maybe we have a few people who are interested in asking questions. Do we have any questions from our viewers yet, Tom?
This is from Jamila. Do penguins suffer from sicknesses or illnesses?
Not so much around here that I would... the camera's gone a little funky on me. Let's swap back to this one. Not so much that I know of. I know that they can get illnesses elsewhere in the world, but do you have an answer to that one, Tom? You've been a ranger longer than I have.
I think one of the strengths of this colony is it's so large and it's quite compact, so that's one of the strengths. One of the weaknesses is it is a large colony in quite a compact area. Luckily, there's been no major diseases in this colony, as far as I'm aware, and I'm pretty certain that hasn't happened. So, touch wood, that'll stay that way. But yeah, that's one of the things I don't have to worry about.
Wonderful. So we do keep track of our penguins. We do like to know how the health of the colony is. We have a large research department who goes out into the field. And it's a shame Jordan wasn't here, or Megan, because they've both been doing a fantastic job working with our research department. They'd have a lot more inside information on all of their observations in the colony. And I was pretty sure that we hadn't had any major diseases running through our colony. I would have been aware of that if we had. But as far as I'm aware, they haven't noticed anything really yet. Thanks, Tom. I appreciate you helping me with that question. I love getting the tricky questions that I'm not quite sure the answer to. Because it gives me something to talk to our research about and something new to learn about every time. We've got just a few penguins here on the sand, stumbling over these rocks, taking their time. Penguins do prefer to come home in larger groups, if at all possible. There is safety in numbers when they cross the beach. So you might see a few penguins, even if there's just a few of them, try and get together, stay together as best they can, or do their best to camouflage themselves in the rocks. Because if you were a bird of prey, looking at our penguins from above and you'd see the dark feathers on these dark rocks, it's a bit harder to see them. So our penguins do their best to stay camouflaged. Oh, and we got a nice group coming up on the Penguin Highway camera. So let's swap over to that. Hopefully the camera is going to cooperate this time. It didn't like my controls last time, so we'll see if... oh, there we go. Let's trying to get it to work. Hopefully that's coming through to you guys. Ooh, there we go. Let's see how it's going. Yeah, they got a beautiful up close and personal shot of some of our penguins. And yeah, having a few technical difficulties with that camera. The control system seems to not be cooperating so well. So we'll have to focus on these penguins here on the beach until I can sort out any technical issues we're having. But these lovely penguins, as I said, coming home hopefully to feed their chicks. If there's any chicks left in the colony, I do know that we do have a web camera into a burrow for one of our chicks. That our Wattle Watchers, a group of people in Australia who love watching our penguins almost on a nightly basis. I shouldn't say they're just in Australia. They are almost worldwide where they like to watch our penguins. And they've nicknamed our penguin in the box Bluey, because our penguins typically have blue feathers, and there's a lovely little kids cartoon about Bluey, a young Australian sheepdog. Lovely little cartoon as well. So great name for a cute little penguin in the box. And it's growing up, and they've been watching poor Bluey. I shouldn't say poor Bluey. They've been watching our lucky Bluey being taken care of by both mom and dad, growing up. And it's not too long now. I couldn't tell you exactly how old Bluey is. I haven't been keeping as close of an eye on that lovely little penguin as our fellow Wattle Watchers tend to do. But I do know that Bluey's getting older and older, and won't be too long before they're ready to fledge and head out into the ocean. So yeah, some of these penguins that we see coming home tonight, they might be heading on a journey home to feed young Bluey. I'm not sure which one's mom or dad. But if you are one of our Wattle Watchers, you can try and figure out which one might be mom, which one might be dad going on that journey home tonight. All right, I love watching these penguins on the rocks, preening themselves. This is very comfortable behavior for them. It shows that they're not at all stressed about their environment. They've crossed the danger of the beach where they're a bit exposed and vulnerable. They've made it to the safety of these rocks. They've got lots of eyes keeping a watch out for any potential dangers, which there shouldn't be any tonight now that the sun's truly gone down. But there is safety in numbers, and there might be a few penguins looking around, making sure there's no dangers nearby. And if a danger does approach, whatever it might be, maybe it's an invasive animal like a feral cat, or maybe it's a goose who's looking to be a little aggressive. Not that a goose is ever going to eat a penguin, but if there's a potential danger or an animal that's causing them great concern, some of these penguins will notice, and there's plenty of safe places that they can run and hide to. So right now they're enjoying this lovely social preening behavior, preening themselves. You may occasionally see a penguin preen a different penguin nearby. A bit of socializing. They might not even know each other, these penguins, but it is good to help each other and take care of each other, because penguins they can preen their own chests, they can preen their own feathers from their neck downwards, but when it gets to their neck and their heads, they can't use their beak to really get to those feathers. So it's nice to have a friendly neighbor, even if you don't know them, give you a bit of a back scratch. You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. It's a very social behavior, and it's beneficial for all penguins to enjoy this behavior. Fantastic. Do we have any more questions from our wonderful viewers, Tom? I'm sure we've got a lot of questions tonight.
This is from 4-year-old Millicent. How far do the penguins swim during the day or each day?
Great question from Millicent. Lovely. So they can swim quite a long ways, our penguins. The farthest that we've ever been... Ooh, sorry, I just got somebody over the rail. But the farthest we've ever observed a penguin swimming in a single day was almost 50 kilometers. It's very unusual for them to swim quite that far. It can happen. Now, I just heard on the radio that we do have a Pacific gull in the front of West Stand. So I'm just going to see if I can zoom in so you might be able to see. Oh, I'm not sure if I can see it. But John, who is counting our penguins tonight, said that there's a bird of prey, technically a bird of prey. It doesn't usually go after adult penguins. But I'm not sure I can see it. The camera's having a hard time focusing. Those are just the regular silver gulls. That's not a Pacific gull. Those gulls don't hunt our penguins. Oh, there you are. So this little, I shouldn't say little, this is about twice the size of a regular silver gull. I can't really get him into focus, sorry. It's too far away for our poor camera. But this type of bird is a Pacific gull, and it's more likely to go after eggs or very young chicks than it would an adult. But any of our penguins nearby, if they ever had a childhood traumatic experience with one of these Pacific gulls, they're going to be very cautious with one around. So we got a little group just down here. The Pacific gull is off on the left side of the screen, incredibly blurry. But that'll be affecting our penguin numbers tonight for sure, at least for the short term. No penguins would want to really cross the beach with that big scary bird wandering around. All right, let's get back to the main show where we get the vast majority of our penguins crossing the beach tonight. And these guys are definitely putting on a bit of a show for all of the viewers on the stands here, right down in front of them, preening themselves in the spotlight. They love being the center of attention. I'll see if I can swap over to the penguin highway because I do see some penguins, and we'll see if the camera's fixed itself. It feels a little better this time, not so choppy and chunky. Now these lovely penguins, they might not even know each other, but they're going on a journey home together. Again, there's the social birds. They love traveling together even if they don't know each other, because there's always safety with a few more friends around, or at least a few more acquaintances. Now you can see they're making their way along the penguin highway. See if I can follow them and see how far along they go. But eventually these three penguins, they will split. They will eventually find their own unique pathway home, because our penguins always go back home to the same pathway. And they'll split off as soon as they get to the side roads. So one penguin might keep going along the penguin highway, and the other one's going to diverge off to the left. They found their little street back to their own home. And eventually they'll all split up until they make it home. In the very unlikely event that there's a husband and wife traveling home together, they will, of course, likely stay together on the journey home. but not often that we have. There we go. Swap to the wrong screen there. Sorry about that. It's not often that males and females will go hunting together. They prefer to be a little more individualistic. They like to look for their own food by themselves. All right. Any more questions from our lovely viewers, Tom?
Yeah, this is from Bailey Mitchell. Do the penguins do the same thing in the morning, and what time do they leave?
Yeah, so our penguins, do they go out in the morning like they come home at night? That's absolutely correct. Our penguins will, when they're ready to go into the ocean, they can spend a couple of days on land, but when they are ready to go into the ocean, they will leave about an hour before sunrise, very roughly, but they are keen to make it into the ocean before the sun gets up. At nighttime, it's a little different. There's no real time frame for them to get home. You can see them just relaxing on these rocks in the middle of the screen here. There's no need to rush. The only deadline that they have to make it home by is basically sunrise. They don't want to be on land in the daytime. And I do see a very little chubby penguin just down here. I want to zoom in on. That looks like a pre-molter to me. If I can get him into focus. Almost. Come on, camera, you can do it. I'll zoom out a little bit. I'll get him into focus in a bit. But in the morning, if they're ready to go into the ocean, they'll do that under the cover of darkness. And they'll spend at least the entire day out there, maybe returning home the same day if they've managed to catch enough fish. But if they haven't caught enough fish, they can spend a couple of days, a few days, a week, even a month on the ocean if they need to catch all of the fish that they need. So our penguins, they are creatures of habit. They always come back to the same place every time they come home, back to Phillip Island. They always return to the same burrow, but the timing is dependent on how full their bellies are. They don't have to come home every single night, but when they do come home, they will always come back at nighttime. All right, I think I lost the pre-molter in the pack there. Oh, there he goes. I think he's making a bit of a waddle along, but let's swap over to our Penguin Highway again. We got another lovely group of penguins here. And a couple of these ones look a bit larger than the others. We'll see if they manage to keep pace with the non-pre-molting penguins, just the regular penguins. This one I'm trying to keep in the center of the screen is on his belly. He looks like a pre-molter to me. Quite a good size. He's managed to catch lots of fish. He should have no problems. He or she, sorry, I didn't get a good look, but they should have no problems surviving their molt this year. And the bigger they are, the more likely they are to survive about 2.5, maybe 3 weeks without food. The molt can be a very dangerous time of year for a lot of our penguins. Some of them are just not able to catch enough fish to survive such a long time without food. That is an unfortunate part of nature, and we are a wildlife reserve, so we do let nature take its course here. As difficult as it may be for our rangers and for the people who come to see our penguins, we have found that being a conservation organization, nature does best when we don't interfere. As soon as we start interfering and feeding our penguins, we're going to have a hard time keeping a healthy colony, because we're going to encourage the penguins to learn that they can get food from us, not that they need to get their own food from the ocean. We're not going to encourage the strongest of the penguins to continue spreading their genes and surviving. It would be a bit of a negative effect overall if we decide to help anytime a penguin struggles or is unable to catch enough food. But rest assured that our penguins, they do very well here. When they are adults, they are quite capable at catching their own food, and they can survive quite a long time. So they don't really need help from us to maintain their health in the colony. All right, there we go. Got that in a bit focused. Let's see if we can see any penguins crossing the beach. We got that lovely group of preening penguins there. Just above my head on the mini screen, you can see a group of penguins crossing the highway. Whoa, yeah, that's good timing. There's a large group down there. Wow. So every night we count our penguins, and we've got poor John who's in the skybox trying to count as many penguins as he can tonight. And he is going to be having a hard time counting that long line. So send your love to John. He's got a bit of a difficult job tonight trying to count all of the penguins that are crossing just under the side of those bushes there. That's a long line, and there's a few other pathways along this beach, not just this one pathway, and he's going to have to count those pathways at the same time. So it's not an easy job. We only let our most experienced rangers try their hand at penguin counting, and Tom is one of our most experienced rangers. He's been here, did you say 14 years, 16 years, 20 years?
14 years in April.
14 years in April. Wow. So he's been here a long time. He's been doing penguin counting since forever. He's one of our most experienced penguin counters. I believe there's only one more ranger who's been here longer than you. Is that Elizabeth? Yeah. So Elizabeth's been here a little bit longer than Tom. She's been here since, I want to say, the 70s.
30 plus years.
30 plus years. 40? No, I don't think she's at 40 years just yet. She's been here a long time. So we can trust Tom and we can trust Elizabeth when they're counting the penguins to get a very accurate count. I'm not such a great counter. I have terrible eyes. My vision's awful. So I'm always a bit nervous when I count the penguins. I never like to be put in that role where my job is to count the penguins. I do my very best to keep it accurate, but I know it's unlikely that I'm 100% accurate. But I do my best at giving us a very good estimate. All right, we just have a few minutes left in the stream tonight. So I would like to invite any of our viewers who are interested in the work we do. You can always head to our website, penguins.org.au, or you can visit our Penguin Foundation if you wanted to assist us. We are a tourism destination here in Australia. Unfortunately, with Australia being shut down to international guests, we don't have any of the international tourism coming to visit us. We do have wonderful Australians who are coming to see our penguins. But if you wanted to assist us, maybe you're overseas and you can't travel here or you can't travel anywhere, you're welcome to head to our Penguin Foundation. There should be a link in the description. That will take you to our charity organization, and they help fund a lot of the work we do here. They take all of their donations and they work at protecting not just our penguins, but the koalas, Churchill Island, a lot of conservation work that we do here. Because it does take a lot of work to maintain a healthy habitat for our penguins here in Phillip Island. So head over to the Penguin Foundation. You can adopt a penguin symbolically. We won't actually send you a penguin. Or you could adopt a koala or any of our local animals that we have here on Phillip Island that we are taking care of. And you could really help benefit all of the local wildlife that we have here on Phillip Island. And as we just got a few minutes left, maybe you have time for one or two more questions, Tom, if you've got any standing by.
Yeah, this is from Con Hatsus. How do you tell the difference between a male and a female little penguin?
Ooh, that's a really good question. So how do you tell the difference between a male and a female little penguin? And the way we do it here on Phillip Island, and our researchers love to do it, is to have a look at their bills, the little penguin beaks. Males will have a bit of a thicker beak, a bit of a longer beak, and they'll have a more pronounced hook on the top part, the top bill, sorry. In the dark, it's really hard to see the difference between a male and a female unless they're standing still looking at each other and they'd be like, that's the male, that's the female. But if they're moving around or if they're fighting or mating and the beaks are flying all over the place, it's really hard to tell the difference at nighttime. You need very good eyes to see the difference in the males and the females. So don't worry if you have a hard time telling the difference between the males and the females. And even our researchers, they need to get their calipers out to actually measure the bill width to be 100% sure which one's the male and the females. Personally, my favorite strategy during the breeding season is just to see which one gets on top when they're mating. That's the easiest, most surefire way for me to be sure that one's the male, that one's the female. All right, one last question, Tom, before we wrap up tonight. No more? Oh, no more questions. Oh, I should have asked you guys to ask me some more difficult questions. I think I got stumped once tonight. Maybe when I'm doing a stream again next time, you can give me some more difficult questions. Challenge me a bit farther. Make sure I get my research done. My goodness, there's a big, long conga line of penguins just behind this bush here. I'm not sure if you can see it on the screen, but it looks like there's a little bit of a traffic jam to get onto the rocks. And our penguins, they can jump the queue. They're not quite as polite as a lot of our UK viewers are at queuing. They don't have that system down. It's a bit of a free-for-all when they're ready to come home. Speaking of our UK viewers, we are going to be having a few guest speakers in the near future. On Monday, we're going to have Michaela Strachan, who will be joining Sky on the live stream. And on Wednesday, it's Ray Mears will be joining, I believe, Sky as well. So we have a couple of guest speakers from the UK who will be joining us. Hello, Wallaby. Just caused a bit of chaos jumping through the penguins there. That's a little rude. You get all sorts of funny behaviors here on Phillip Island. So the Wallaby, not too fussed by the penguins, probably gave the penguins a good fright. But you never know what you're going to see here on Live Penguin TV. But please tune in again tomorrow night. I believe I'm hosting again tomorrow night, or I might be producing. I can't remember which job I'm doing on a night-to-night basis. But tune in again tomorrow night. We'll be doing the live stream for the ongoing future. Hopefully we don't have another lockdown in any time soon. If as long as everything stays healthy and COVID safe here in Victoria, we'll be continuing to give you the live stream night after night for the next hopefully a few weeks, month. I'm not sure how long we're going for, but we are planning on continuing this going forward. So thank you so much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. Have a wonderful evening, and hopefully see you again tomorrow.